Russia has freed US basketball star Brittany Griner in a dramatic high-level prisoner exchange, with American officials releasing a notorious Russian arms dealer. Germany's Wirecard fraud trial has opened, with ex-CEO Markus Braun and two others in the dock over their roles in the country's biggest ever accounting scandal.
Moscow denies that the war is on pause during the winter months, after NATO claimed Russia was regrouping.
Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, have taken aim at unconscious bias inside the royal family as their highly anticipated Netflix series is released. Russia has freed US basketball star Brittany Griner in a dramatic high-level prisoner exchange, with the US releasing the notorious Russian arms dealer Victor Bout. Griner is a two-time Olympic gold medalist. Her 10-month-long imprisonment on drug charges brought unprecedented attention to the population of wrongful detainees.
She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances, Brittany will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along.
Brittany Griner was exchanged for Victor Bout. The 55-year-old arms dealer has been accused of supplying Al-Qaeda, the Taliban and rebels in Rwanda. He was arrested in Thailand in 2008 and convicted in New York 3 years later on charges including conspiring to kill Americans. In what's being described as Germany's biggest post-war fraud case, the trial of the former chief executive of financial services company Wirecard is underway. Markus Braun and two other ex-senior managers are accused over false financial reporting that ultimately led to the collapse of the firm in 2020. Prosecutors say Braun knowingly signed off on documents that appeared to show the company had funds it didn't have, through revenue attributed to partnerships in other countries. His lawyers say the charges are seriously flawed and that he was unaware of the illegal activities of others. Others, including the former head of accounting and the managing director of a Dubai-based subsidiary. When Wirecard filed for bankruptcy 2 years ago, it said 1.9 billion euros had disappeared from its balance sheet and could not be accounted for.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is setting conditions for a protracted war of conquest in Ukraine, saying that what he calls, quote, special operation can be a lengthy process and that the acquisition of new territory is a significant result of this process for Russia. Now, the Institute for the Study of War previously observed that the Kremlin has been setting information conditions for the protraction of the war in Ukraine since the summer, following Russian forces' failures to secure and retain their primary objectives. This informational conditioning is fundamentally incompatible with any discussions regarding a ceasefire or negotiations. NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg stated that the Russian military seeks an operational pause. He said in an interview with the Financial Times that Russia seeks to freeze the fighting in Ukraine, at least for a short period of time, so that they can regroup, repair, recover, and then try to launch a bigger offensive next spring. Stoltenberg's statement supports the Institute for the Study of War's assessment that an operational pause would favor Russia by depriving Ukraine of the initiative. Now, Russian forces are likely increasing the pace of their counterattacks in eastern Kharkiv and also in western Luhansk regions. Ukrainian Eastern Group of Forces spokesperson stated that Russian forces are preparing a counteroffensive operation in western Luhansk region, part of which would include operations in the direction of Kupiansk. Now, the Russian military is continuing offensive operations around Bakhmut and is so far denying itself the operational pause that would be consistent with best military practice. Some of the heaviest fighting is ongoing in this region. Putin's current fixation with continuing offensive operations around Bakhmut and elsewhere is contributing to Ukraine's ability to maintain its military initiative in other parts of the theater. Ukraine's continued operational successes depend on Ukrainian forces' ability to continue successive operations through the winter 2022-2023 without interruptions.
It's really hard to look back on it now.
Months of speculation and days of anticipation has led to this.
Becoming a royal rock star.
The first episode of the Netflix documentary about Prince Harry and wife Meghan has dropped, and the couple has taken aim at an unconscious bias inside the royal family.
Suit other people's agendas.
Harry took aim at the media within the first few minutes of the show. He says no one knows the full truth, only them and the institution, and he considers it his duty to uncover the exploitation and bribery within British media. The series comes after Buckingham Palace faced renewed allegations of racism only last week. The royal family will likely be bracing for fallout, which could deepen tensions between Harry, his father King Charles, and brother Prince William. So far, the palace hasn't commented on the series. It comes more than a year and a half after the couple's bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey. Prince Harry is also releasing a book, keeping the public's eye fixed firmly on the monarchy.
Finland has clearly opted for nuclear energy, despite the continuous delays in the opening of what will become Europe's largest nuclear reactor, Olkiluoto 3. Up to 70% of Finns say they favor nuclear energy, well above the EU average, and a huge increase from 30 years ago. Questions remain, says this local journalist who has covered news on the nuclear power plant for over 10 years. Despite the operator's efforts at transparency, he says there are still many issues that need to be discussed.
The most important environmental effect of these plants, if everything is working properly, is the heat that they push to the sea. The efficiency is only about 40%, which means that 60% of the energy produced is being pushed to the sea.
Local fishermen are well placed to assess this particular impact. So we meet one of them on the shores of the Baltic Sea. This fishing and assisted fish reproduction area is just 20 kilometers at bird's flight from the nuclear power station. Jarno has been working here for the last 10 years. This fisherman says he prefers nuclear energy to offshore wind power. Among other species, he fishes salmon, whitefish and pikes, for whom he claims warmer waters are sometimes good. Fish like warm waters. They go there to eat other fishes. This stream provides them with food. And fish also grow faster in warmer waters. That's the good thing. But seaweed is also growing, and this seaweed makes my nets very dirty. And this is harming my fishing activities. In a way, from the other side, there is another issue. When the nuclear station is sucking water from the sea, small fishes are also drawn. They are sucked into the nuclear station system, and there they die. Discover more about how and why Finland has opened its arms to nuclear energy tonight on Witness at 9:45 p.m. Central European Time.
Italy's world-famous La Scala Opera House has opened its new season with the Russian piece Boris Godunov. But the performance has been dogged by controversy, with some arguing that it's inappropriate to show while Russia's invasion of Ukraine continues. Those attending saw it differently.
The Ukrainians are fantastic, brave and courageous people, and we support them with whatever is necessary and as long as it takes. I think we should not allow that Putin is destroying culture.
The Italian Prime Minister agreed.
We don't have anything against the Russian people, Russian history or Russian culture. We have something against those who have made the political choice to invade a sovereign country. The two dimensions must be kept separated because they are two very different things and we must not mix them.
Before the opera began, about 30 Ukrainians protested outside the theatre. Russian culture itself wasn't their target, but rather how President Vladimir Putin is using it.
I did not come here to protest against culture, against opera, but this is a big problem now. Culture has become something like a weapon for Russians. This is the way Ukrainians feel about it. They don't want to hear anything Russian.
In response, La Scala's management has reiterated its support for Ukraine, holding a benefit concert for the country, which raised €400,000.